And so when you think about in terms of this, being able to get back to the idea that you as a person who naturally is curious needs to find that tribe. You need to find that group
I feel it.
because without that, there is a purposelessness. And if your entire purpose is about communing with others and you don't have the ability to commune, this goes into an emotional wound that can be very grave. Because not only can it be about not being able to live a purpose, but also the idea of does my life have meaning? And when people start questioning that kind of thing, this is when we get into dangerous territory. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about because of your reaction.
Yeah, you're reading me for filth right now. It's interesting. You talk about that community. I saw a video clip not too long ago. I forgot where it was. Probably just doom scrolling Instagram, broadening away, and it talked about there was a guy who was talking about addiction, which again something I struggle with. And he mentioned that people think the opposite of addiction is sobriety, and he's like, no. And then he starts talking about a case study about a rat. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's like you take a
Mhm.
rat, he's isolated by himself, you put him in a cage and you feed him cocaine water or some type of opioid water. And he's just continually slamming that water when he's by himself. Then you put him in a cage where he's in community with other rats. And they get along. There's no static or anything like that. Same cocaine or heroin water, I forgot what it was laced with, but some type of drug was still in the cage. But once the rat was around its tribe, its people, nobody touched the drugs. They were all just happy being in community with one another. And so from that, the conclusion was drawn the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's community.
It's
And
belonging.
yeah, and you have that community and the rest just kind of takes care of itself. So yeah,
Mhm.
everything that you said was spot on for me. I did have a question though. You kind of touched on it, the archetypes. You mentioned the ruler, the guardian, the champion, and the explorer. Did
Mhm.
I are those the four archetypes or are there more?
There's four, but when you look at how they combine, personality archetypes are created from a combination of a dominant and a secondary masculine archetype. So I can use myself as an example because I've typed myself. I'm what's known as a visionary leader. So my primary is explorer, my secondary is ruler. So that means that I look to explore new ways of being able to provide information in order to create a structured environment that others can learn from. So by understanding your personality, it opens doors for you to understand how you best interact with yourself and others, and what things to look for that are going to better align with your urges, your desires, what I call your core, your core behavior and your motivator, or your core need and your motivator.
Hmm.
The core need is basically how you present yourself. Your motivators how is what motivates you to interact with others.
It's funny, both of you touched on something that I actually, and it was just a comment. It was a random YouTube comment that I read, and it says something along the lines of, um, this person didn't need to touch the the drug or something because no, it was he didn't. So all right, it's a skit, but it just kind of confirmed to me like what I was talking about was so accurate. So in the skit, one guy is legally separated, and his wife, she's out there doing her own thing. He crashing out. Finally, after all the drinking, because that's his addiction, he meets someone at church, a woman at church, and coming to find out that she had an addiction to pills. So in the comment section, they're basically saying these two don't need to. He needs to get legally divorced. She needs to leave him alone until after he's divorced, because these two together is not going to work. And someone in the comment section said, "Well, I would rather him and her hook up because, in my opinion, they look happy. They seem like they generally seem happy. So it's like two people who are actually happy, and
Mm.
they won't have no reason to want to abuse the alcohol. They're not thinking about it because they're so engulfed in this feeling of excitement. This is new. I've never felt this. I've never been treated this way before. This is something that I can see myself embracing more than this. This seems way more pure and freeing than me picking up the bottle or the pill. So I just thought that was interesting that you both said what you said in regards to that. Um, it was something else that I wanted to add as well. There's this weird itching I get when I hear it. Is and I hope I'm not wrong. I think people will get this misconstrued too when it might seem like this is you being codependent. There's a difference between being codependent and actually having someone that is reciprocating the same approach that you are to a certain situation. If you're relying on someone else to give you everything that you need to do what you need to do, but it's not a ebb and flow to it, that to me seems like it's going to be a problem. If it's duplicitous, that's a problem. I don't know if a lot of folks understand it, and I didn't understand it at first because I would. Well, again, let me rephrase that. I would hope that people would be reciprocal of what I was doing for them, and I never got that in return. It was always
Mhm.
it was always one sided. That's what I mean by codependent. And my problem was I was expecting or relying on the wrong people, but I was kind of villainizing these people for not returning what I was giving out, not understanding that is not that is really their problem. It's that I am in the wrong circle of people. The people that I'm looking for is an entirely different chapter. I haven't figured that out. There's this things that I kind of got twisted along the way, and it took a lot of time for me to really figure that out. So yeah, I will yield for now because there was something else I wanted to add on, but it kind of slipped my mind.
I wanted to touch on the two addicts getting together and finding happiness and putting the drugs down. My question: what happens when the honeymoon's over?
Yeah, you know what? That's a fact. I've been in that position before too. What you call that trauma bonding? I think you would call that trauma.
Mm, mm.
I could,
Boy, I got
I
a
could,
story on that one. Another day. Another day though.
yeah, yeah.
This has been, I mean, like I said before, pick your vice. It doesn't matter. Um, whatever your mode of escape is, the whatever you pick is not the problem. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is that you are escaping. And when you are escaping and someone else is escaping and you're trying to connect with each other, this does not fly. You can't escape and connect at the same time. These are both diametrically opposed conditions. You either connect or you escape. So now what you have is you often have running and chasing. And so when you are in a relationship where you are running and chasing, neither person's fulfilled, because each person has their own selfish desire why they want to connect, and two, why they want to escape. So now you're dealing with the complexities of selfish behavior, self-serving mechanisms within a edifice that is meant to be collaborative, that is meant to be co-creating a reality. How do you do that? I'll tell you, you don't. You deal with your own shit first, then you try again.
Yeah, exactly. I was waiting for the drop, you know.
No, that's real shit. I be hearing people complain about they can't find a good man and they can't do this, or people feel like I have to do everything on my own. I reach out. Look, I can help you out. Nah, I'm good. I don't need your help. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. But you sitting up here complaining about how everybody is abandoning you and nobody's this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking to myself, like Jason said, what was that? Wounded some shit. Yeah,
The wounded archetype.
yeah, you sound like one of those. You want to do everything on your own. I mean, you're probably programmed to be like that because of the shit that you dealt with. You know what I love about this? It doesn't matter how many times we get up here. I always end up unlocking something. Like I always go back to a situation and I'm like, damn, hold on. This sounds oddly familiar. Yep, I did it. Or I'm doing it. My bad. Note to self. So damn, bro, why are you so accurate?
Because I've been doing this for over 30 years. That's why.
What, and when you say doing, what exactly do you do? Are you like a practicing therapist right now, or working in that field?
I'm an author and a life coach. So I focus mainly on leadership, helping people really understand. So which means I work with men. I work with men to help them become better leaders, because men were meant to step into leadership positions, and if they aren't, I'm curious as to why. And secondly, I'm very insatiably curious as to how it can help them. So I've been doing that for about 5 years. What I've been doing for over 30 years is understanding people, is playing the game of trying to uncover why people do what they do. So I say 30 years. It's actually more. It's been longer than that. I'm 45 now, and I've been studying human beings since I was 8, because I needed to, in order to understand why I was so awkward and why people did not like me. So it started off as being a very personal, very self-serving thing. But the more I got to know people and the more I emulated them, the more I realized I didn't know. And so I had to do even more to understand other people. And that just turned into kind of like, well, this is fun. What else can I uncover about people? What else can I learn? And so then it just became something where I would just obsess over really understanding people for the sake of understanding people, to the point where I was beginning to understand FBI profilers and the serial killers that they hunted. I've looked at the best and the worst of human beings, because somewhere in the middle, 99% of us live.
So shout out to Garrett.